Imagine a world without money. No bills in your pocket. No coins. No numbers glowing on a phone screen. Now imagine trying to survive in that world. Before banks, before vaults, before cards and cryptocurrencies, there was only direct exchange. If you had food but needed clothes, you had to find someone who had clothes and wanted exactly what you were offering. This was called barter, and that system worked for a while. But soon, a simple and devastating problem appeared. What if the other person didn't want what you had? Humanity needed something new, something everyone would accept, something that represented value. And that's where the story of money begins. Long before coins and banknotes, value was found in what was essential for survival: salt, cattle, grains, shells, furs, metals. In different parts of the world, different objects became symbols of wealth. Salt, for example, was so valuable that Roman soldiers were paid with it. That's where the word salary comes from. But these objects had problems. They spoiled, were hard to transport, or lacked universal value. Humanity needed something durable, divisible, and reliable. Then someone had a simple and brilliant idea. Around 600 BC, in the kingdom of Lydia, modern-day Turkey, the first metal coins appeared. They were made from a natural alloy of gold and silver called electrum, and carried official government symbols. For the first time in history, value no longer depended only on the object itself, but on trust in whoever created it. Coins spread rapidly across the ancient world. Greeks, Romans, Chinese, all adopted their own versions. Money began to shape empires. With it, armies could be paid, taxes collected, wars financed, cities built. But money was still heavy. Literally, centuries later, in China, something revolutionary happened. Carrying large amounts of coins was dangerous and exhausting. So merchants began using paper receipts that represented deposits of precious metal. These papers had no intrinsic value. Their value came from the trust that they could be exchanged for something real. Paper money was born. The idea traveled across the world, but only took root in Europe many centuries later. And when it did, everything changed. Now kings could print money. Governments could control economies. And wars began to be financed not only with gold, but with promises. Over time, banks emerged. At first, they were simply safe places to store wealth. But soon they realized something powerful. Not everyone withdrew their money at the same time. So banks began lending more money than they actually had. And that's how the modern banking system was born, based on trust, risk, and debt. Money stopped being just something you own and became something you owe. For a long time, money was tied to gold. Each banknote represented a real amount of precious metal stored in a vault. This was known as the gold standard. But the world grew too fast. World wars, economic crises, population growth. There wasn't enough gold to support all. So, little by little, countries abandoned the gold standard, and money became something new. Today, the money we use is no longer backed by gold. It is backed by trust. Trust in governments. Trust in systems. Trust that everyone will continue accepting that paper, that number, that symbol. This type of money is called fiat money. It doesn't have value because it's rare. It has value because we believe it does. And that belief sustains entire economies. As technology advanced, money began to disappear. Cards, transfers, digital payments, PICs, cryptocurrencies. Today, most of the world's money doesn't physically exist. It's just numbers on servers. And yet it buys houses, land companies, and defines who holds power. In 2008, after a major financial crisis, a radical idea emerged: money without banks, without governments, without intermediaries. Bitcoin, a system based on mathematics, cryptography, and decentralization. For some, a revolution. For others, a threat. For the first time since the creation of modern money, control was being questioned, and the story is still being written. Over thousands of years, money has changed form, from direct exchange to shells, to metal, to paper, to invisible numbers. But its essence has always been the same: a collective agreement. Money is not just wealth. It is power. It is time. It is choice. It is freedom or prison. It can build civilizations or destroy them. And in the end, after thousands of years of history, perhaps the most important question is not how much money exists, but who is really in control. Did we create money, or did it, little by little, begin to create us? Do we control money, or do we shape our lives around it? Because money doesn't think, it doesn't decide, it doesn't dream, but it influences decisions, defines paths, moves the world. And as long as this question remains unanswered, one thing is certain: money will continue to be just a tool or our greatest master. Subscribe to the channel for more history of things.